Hey, this is Sam Smith, and I'm going to take you around the NBA with a big shot. Oh, they didn't want me using props. I don't know if that worked or not. Anyway, trading deadline, trading season kind of starting to begin. Trading deadline is after the All-Star game, February 18th. So we got a long way to go, and we got a lot of bad rumors to go. And so, but you know, they're just fun to discuss. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of names are going to come out. Chris Bosh being the biggest one. So far I've counted 14 teams that are trading for him. I think that's technically impossible that he can play for all of those. So, you know, and obviously the Bulls are one of those who's always get mentioned, because all the teams with cap room, that's a possibility. Miami, he's always been talked about there. Chicago, there was a rumor thrown out about him going to the Lakers. Now, I'd previously heard about a Boston one, about the Boston, you know, that and people remember back in the 80s, when Boston was sort of turning down after they had the great series with the Lakers and the Pistons. Pistons finally caught up with them. They had a chance to move McHale, and they felt that a loyalty, the history of the Celtics, they didn't want to do it. They could have sort of made a turn on the run. Obviously, the big part, also part is they losing Len Bias the way they did, tragically. But had they been able to move McHale, they might have been able to keep from going down to the bottom, which they did. So now there's some thought in Boston that if you can move Ray Allen, not going to move Pierce and not going to move Garnett, but if you can move somebody like Ray Allen, make a deal, maybe you can get a player. And so one of the names comes up a lot now is Bynum in L.A. because he hasn't produced, especially rebounding-wise, not a great rebounder. Although they had a big rebounding game Sunday with Pau Gasol out. So it's not going to be easy to move Bynum. Bynum's not a guy that the Lakers are absolutely looking to move. Another name you hear coming up now a lot is Al Jefferson. There's been a sense in Minnesota, and I'm not surprised. I always felt, and I still feel, Jefferson's an overrated kind of player. He's put up big numbers on a losing team, so you can't tell. He had a serious knee injury, which he's clearly not back from. Jefferson's really a power forward who should play in a faster offense instead of a half-court offense. And what Minnesota's kind of doing, because I've heard this from some GMs, is they're sort of saying to teams, well, would you be interested in Jefferson for, and then they name the team's best player, or some all-star level center, big man. Because you figure if they do trade Jefferson, they want to get a big man, especially a defensive-oriented big man, which are not that many of. So he's a guy that maybe you can get, but these things are going to be costly. Cleveland's a team that mostly you hear about a lot because they've been shopping around the expiring contract of Ilgauskas, which is about 11.5. And so I think you'll start to see a lot of these names come up, a lot of kind of movement. It's a little early yet. Because most of the league is kind of waiting. It's usually kind of a thing where everybody wants to see that first big domino to fall. And then the first big domino generally is thought to be Chris Bosh. Miami's obviously not going to name him with Dwayne Wade, where they kind of feel that they're going to have a really decent shot at LeBron James. That's why Cleveland wants to make a deal, so they don't lose LeBron James, obviously. He's the franchise. But if they do make a big deal and say, get a guy of Jameson-esque level, you know, and get to the conference finals or the finals, then the notion is LeBron would stay, and then Miami would sort of opt and get Chris Bosh, who seemed to have been interested in going south, much more farther south than he is now. But he needs to play with a great player, and then would be really effective. I mean, his team didn't make the playoffs last year. They're a 500 team this year. But, you know, Miami's it'll take a run at him. Like I say, Pat Riley always thinks really big. You know, went traded for Shaq, traded for Alonzo Mourning, makes big deals and likes to shock the NBA. And I could see him putting in a huge pitch for LeBron after this season. And if not, you know, then maybe Bosh. So if Toronto gets a sense, if Bosh comes to him at some point in the next 6 weeks and says, you know what, I'm out of here. Doesn't matter what you offer, doesn't matter what you're doing. And Toronto needs to get that sense from Bosh. You know, you're not supposed to talk contract with players during the season, but you can wink, you can do whatever. A lot of stuff goes on in the NBA, as we know. And so Bosh, you know, at some point says, you know what, I'm out of here, I'm gone. Canada, no more snowshoes. You know, and so they will, and that's the shoe everyone's waiting to see drop. If Toronto gets that ultimate sense, then I think you'll hear his name starting to come up, like you maybe hear Jefferson's name come up a little bit and some of these guys. So it's a great time for all of us because it's a great fun time for fans. Sort of hot stove. We don't have any stoves anymore to be around in the NBA. You know, we have a lot of like electric heater. It's kind of electric heater time in the NBA, probably more than that. But anyway, if you want to keep up with that stuff or anything else, keep up with me at AskSam@Bulls.com, and I'll catch you next week.
Bye.